Whenever I'm feeling stressed, I remind myself that someone else has had this exact problem and they were able to figure it out. Better yet, millions of people have probably gone through something similar and have gotten through it themselves. Right now, I'm dealing with the stress of doing my taxes, and because I'm a solopreneur and someone that has made investments in the last year, it has made my taxes a bit more complicated. But then I realized there's millions of solopreneurs out there, and all of the, well, most of them are filing their taxes. So if they can do it, I can do it too, right? With the help of TurboTax. Starting a task that feels overwhelming is the hardest part. The tax deadline is approaching on April 15th, so don't leave your taxes until last minute. TurboTax makes it super easy to file my taxes. What I thought would take up my entire weekend actually took me less than an hour. I took a photo of my tax forms, uploaded them into TurboTax, they verified my data, and TurboTax filed my information for me into my return. Everything was super easy for me and fast. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember there is TurboTax. So you can finish your taxes confidently before the tax deadline of April 15th and get your biggest refund possible.
All right, my New York City fashion girlies, this is not a drill. If you love Free People, Urban, Anthro, and Nuuly, you're gonna love Reclectic. It's a secondhand store owned by Urban, so they sell clothes from all those major urban brands that I just mentioned, but at a fraction of the price. It's giving outlet mall and vintage secondhand store meets New York City. And as a personal finance girly, you know I have thoughts. All these coats, by the way, under $50, but it's easy to overspend in a situation like this. So I have a hack for you. I keep a note pinned in my notes app called To Buy. Anytime I think of something I want or need, I write it down in the app to avoid spending in the moment on things that I don't actually need to buy. But then in a situation like this, it actually gives me permission to spend. So I've been looking for this particular jacket for literally over a year, and I got it for $20. Also, this rack made me laugh because it was giving New York City girly uniform with the leather jacket and the mid-wash jeans, but it's going to be in Herald Square for the next 90 days, and this is definitely a budget-friendly way to feed your shopaholic tendencies, and I can't wait to go back.
Elon Musk said today that there's 14 magic money computers running the US government.
I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
This is essentially modern monetary theory without any recognition to resource constraints or inflation. So that theory would say that he's not functionally wrong, but it's not correct. MMT is hotly debated. Let's talk about how money is actually made. So Elon says that there's 14 magic money computers talking to each other and creating money out of thin air, which is not quite true. So there's about 4,600 commercial banks. So let's say you go to the bank and you say, "Bank, I need some money." The bank says, "Of course. How much do you need?" You say, "I need about 10,000. Let's say they approve you. You get a $10,000 loan. You have $10,000 in your checking account. And so then on the bank's balance sheet, that loan is recorded as an asset because you owe them some money, and the new deposit is a liability because the bank owes you that $10,000 on demand. There's no net gain in financial assets here because you owe them 10K, they owe you 10K, that nets out to 0. So what happens at the governmental level? So Congress is actually the entity that authorizes spending most of the time. Say they authorize $10,000 to the Department of Defense. The US Treasury is then going to send $10,000 to the bank account of the Department of Defense, and they make that money that they send through collecting taxes. That gets added to the Department of Defense account. But what if there's not enough money to cover that spending? What if they do not collect enough in taxes? That's a deficit. There's not enough money, not enough revenue to cover government spending. So then the US Treasury is going to issue bonds. And so then investors in foreign countries are like, yes, of course, we would love to have US debt, please. And that helps finance the deficit. So it's not necessarily money getting created out of thin air. There's all sorts of laws that govern this too. The Federal Reserve Act, the Banking Act of 1913 and 1935, Dodd-Frank, the Budget Act and appropriation process. So there really isn't magic money computers. It's mostly that we need new tech. And honestly, updating technology would be a great thing for Doge to focus on instead of canceling cancer research.
My goddaughter is going to have $7.6 million by the time she's 65. Here's exactly how to grow generational wealth for the kids in your life too. First things first, you need to open an account. You have 3 main choices here. I chose a custodial brokerage account because it has less rules and I want Zia to have the freedom to use this money however she wants. But if you want to invest for a child's education or retirement, look into the other 2. Okay, then you want to fund the account. Put $1,000 in it when they're born. Put $100 in it monthly. And then every year on their birthday, add another $500. Then you want to invest the money in the account. I chose an S&P 500 tracking ETF. Historically, these have returned 10%. You really can't go wrong. Then just keep doing this till they're 18 and then stop. Thanks to the power of compound interest, if we get that historical 10% rate of return, she will have $7.6 million by the time she is 65. How nuts is that? Follow for more tips on how to build generational wealth.
Do you have too much in your savings account? Let's talk about it. First of all, let's talk about that savings account. Where are you keeping your money? Where are you keeping your savings? If you are keeping your savings in a normal savings account and not a high yield savings account, girl, today is the day we're gonna switch it over. A normal savings account, you're making nothing. You're making dust. You're making pennies. At the end of the year, the bank is like, hey, thanks for keeping your money here. Here's a nickel. A high yield savings account pays you for having your money there. The interest will fluctuate of how much you can earn, but it's not going to go down. You can't lose money. It's literally just the bank saying, hey, thank you for keeping your money here. We appreciate it. We love you. Here is some extra money. So you can earn, instead of earning it like a normal savings account, you might earn like 0.001%. You can earn and again, it fluctuates. Like it was up to high 4s, like low 5%. Now I think the average is like 3.5% to 4%, but still that's iconic, incredible. And if your money's sitting there, it might as well work for you. So that's first up. We want to keep our savings in a high yield savings account. If you're not doing that, let's go, baby. Ask me questions if you have them about like high yield savings account. Second thing, when it comes to, are you keeping too much in your savings account? The only thing we want to keep in your savings is one, your emergency fund. If you have questions about the emergency fund, let me know. But an emergency fund, we want 1 to 3 months of expenses if you have high interest debt or other like big things you're cooking up right now. But if you're kind of just chilling, 6 to 8 months of emergency, or 6 to 8 months of expenses as an emergency fund. Iconic, incredible, amazing. I know, hey, I know, I love you. And I know that your first instinct might be like, that's impossible. I could never do that. We can work up to it. We can work up to it. Like, it's totally fine. So that, amazing, love. The other thing would be if you're saving for something specific. So if you're like, I'm saving for a car, that is in your savings account or your high yield savings account. Or if you're like, I'm saving for a down payment on a house, great. But sometimes there are people, or I'll see my clients who are like, hey, they have so much in their savings. I'm like, hey, what are you doing that for? And they're like, well, I just put money in savings just to save. And putting money in savings, what I like to call is your money in savings is called wealth protecting money. So that's money that's there to make you feel safe and secure, to be there in case anything happens, but that's not wealth building money. And we want to be strategic. We want our money to also be building us wealth. And so the only thing in our savings, we want to have an emergency fund, and we want to have anything that we're saving for. If you're not saving for something, then you don't need that extra. And anything on top of that, we want to start investing. We want to start building wealth for your future and for all of those long-term goals.